Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here, and we got a little bit of local collab, hopeful goodness, in the form of Twin Elephant Brewing and The Seed in collaboration with Rabbit Hill Malt. This is Older Than Bones. It's a smoked Helles lager. Yeah, this comes courtesy of my boy Vinny. He sent off a box of four bangers. This be one of them. We're going to dive into it and see what we got. What else does it say in the can? It is 5.6% smoked Helles lager. It is comprised of, like I said, a Rabbit Hill malt collab with The Seed and Twin Elephant. And then it consists of Pilsner, Mulberry Smoke Malt, Chit, Magnum, Pearl, and Hallertown Middle Four hops, and a little bit of lager yeast. Label-wise, it's that kind of hippie, trippy stuff that Twin Elephant does. You get a little hourglass kind of space pyramid mountain kind of thingy. You know, that's what they do. So yeah, let's see what we got. Smoke Helles lager can go a couple different directions here. You can get really heavy on the smoke, and go a little bit lighter, a la the Helles lager from like Schlenkler, stuff like that. So we'll see where we land. But label-wise, tight. Like I said, it's what Twin Elephant does. And as far as this beer goes, I mean, that looks the part. Oh, dirty glass Mafia on the outside here. That's what kind of expect from a Helles lager smoked, or otherwise that rich kind of color, golden color, soft little carbonation on it. You know, nothing too crazy. Just looks the part of a nice lager. So yeah, let's give it a whirl. Let's give it a hot. Yeah, that's decently smoky. And definitely elevated what you typically get from like that Schlenkler Helles lager. Now, they talk about how there's no real smoked anything in a Helles lager that Schlenkler does. It comes from the yeast that's lived in their brewery for so long. This obviously has that kind of smoke malt to it. So it has that little bit of, like, not necessarily campfire smokiness, more of like kielbasa, flabby kind of smokiness to it. Nothing too aggressive, but pretty big for its style. Sweet malts on the other end of things, and then we're done and done. So we're definitely dealing with something of the smoked variety so far. So we're off to a very good start. Let's just crack into this sucker. See what we got. Cheers, y'all. Yeah, it's pretty darn smoky for this kind of beer. You know, was it contextually or comparably for its style? Definitely comes off as a nice Helles lager. There's a little bit of heft to it, a little bit something above what you typically get from a clean, super clean lager. Now, I tend to feel like smoked lagers tend to come off a little bit heftier. I think it's because of that use of that smoked malt in order to get this kind of richer kind of smoke vibe from it. I think you have to go a little beefier with the smoke, so it can't be just a smoked Pilsner malt. It has to be something a little bit richer, and that's what you're getting here. It's just this nice pop of maltiness, a little bit of sweetness to it, nothing too crazy, maybe a little bit of under attenuation, a little bit of residual sugar, but nothing too hyper aggressive. But then the star of the show here is that smoke malt, where it comes off again as that kind of kielbasa, fatty, flabby, meaty kind of smokiness that I really, really dig. What Schlenkler and the like kind of hang their hat on. You can go in another direction with smokiness. You can get a little bit more kind of like campfire, smoky, things like that. But this is definitely like that kielbasa kind of smokiness. And while it has that little bit of extra heft to it, and you typically get from a Helles lager, or it definitely comes off as a lager ferment because it has that nice, clean, crisp kind of ferment to it, but with that beefiness and that little bit of extra malt. Hops here are bulk utilitarian, maybe a little tannic tea like floralness to it. Nothing too crazy, but it's acting as a counterbalance to that sweetness and letting that malt kind of smokiness kind of come through. So yeah, this is definitely what I would say a more aggressive version of a Helles smoke lager for the style. Again, we got to keep that in mind. It's not like, you know, a big beefy Marzen or a Doppelbock or something like that as far as ultra smokiness, but it's definitely showcasing those smoked malts and doing itself a very big service with what it is, with the Helles smoked lager. A lot of times, even with the Schlenkler version, filtered or unfiltered, it will just be drips and drabs and hints of smoke. This is unmistakable. You drink this as a mystery beer, I believe you're just getting, you know, I believe I would be calling out a smoked beer from the get. And just the way that malt pairs outside of the smokiness with that bit of that kind of utilitarian tannic bittering, it makes for a really well balanced beer that, again, since those two parts are balanced, kind of lets that beer showcase those malts, and it comes off really well done. Listen, you talk about two of the better, my opinion, two of the better breweries in Jersey. Twin Elephants always has a soft place in my heart. The Seed, while relatively new as a brewery, all the beers I've had from them have been quite fantastic, and this is definitely one of the better ones I've had as of late. And we can just skip to the little fruit fly float around here. We can cut to the chase, really, because there's not much else to say about the beer outside of that, just that smoked malt kind of shining through and being the star of the show, and a really well done kind of slightly beefier malt based kind of Helles base. Is this one of the better smoked Helles lagers I've had? Like, yes. Is it Mount Rushmore status? I believe yes. I mean, listen, if smoke is done right, it can be one of my more favorite beers that I've had, but sometimes it can be a little bit too heavy-handed, like a challenging smoke, or it could just be a little bit too delicate and not too hefty on the smoke side of things. I think this strikes that perfect balance of being a slightly beefier Helles, but having a slightly beefier kind of malt base or smoke malt base, where it just makes for that perfect combination of a well-done lager and a really well-done smoked beer. This is absolutely really good, and probably, like I said, one of the best, if not one of the better ones that I had as late. So well deserving of being up there on Mount Rushmore status as far as one of the better smoked beers I've had as late in general. Value and availability on this, I don't know. I mean, Twin Elephant stuff typically hits distro, but this came courtesy of my boy Vinny. So Vinny, let me know what you paid for this and where you picked it up, and just leave you with, if you like what we like this. Honestly, if you are a smoked beer person, if you're a smoked beer junkie or you're a Rausch beer fan, I think you really dig on this, because it takes the best of both worlds: a super drinkable lager and a really nice smoke base. Pairs them really well in a really well made beer. Hard to find much better than this if you're really into smoke jams. So there you go. A review in the books. Hopefully you enjoyed. Massive Beers, if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive for the podcasting stuff. And yeah, Twin Elephant, The Seed. Have you been to the breweries? Have you had their beers? Have you had this? All that fun stuff. Let's talk about it down there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of Hellish jams right now, smoked or otherwise. Hope we'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.